Good morning from Austin, Texas. Hope everyone's having a great day. I have Jackson by my side right there. All right. Top 5 high yield ETFs of the week. Brought to you courtesy of the Buffer Report. All right. As far as the market goes, we basically made a round trip. If you look at Monday and then you look at where we closed Friday, it was basically a round trip. We sold off and then we recovered right to where we started pretty much. We actually recovered a little bit more, which is good to see. Hopefully the pullback's over. We shall see though. In the single name, categories, mRNA, Tesla, Apple, Google had earnings and did great last week. Those were some of the standouts on the upside. On the downside, you had oil, AMD, Sky, anything Bitcoin related was on the downside. I mean, was on the downside for sure. YBTC, YBIT, Maxi, Tress also did not have a great week at all. Neither did IWMY, which I believe was the fund of the week last week. Okay, well, let's look at the Buffer Report real quick, and then we'll do the countdown. Okay, so here it is for the single names. You can obviously see the standouts, Moderna, Tesla, both TSLY and TSLP did well. Apple. Look at AMZP outperforming, doing great. Not much, no underperformance. The good thing about this chart is no one's outperforming on the downside or underperforming. Okay, so let's look at the let's look at the index. The index version. Okay, same thing for Bitcoin. So it was a bad week for some of the Bitcoin related properties. But however, Misty wasn't down as much as some of the other ones though. And anyway, which is good to see. YBTC seems to have got the worst of it for some reason. All right. Possibly I missed a dividend in there, when ex-dividend, and I didn't catch it or something. I need to check that because that's pretty bad. But especially compared to the other cryptos aren't, the other ones in the same business aren't doing too bad. We can look into that later. On the index ones, it was a pretty flat week for the indexes. Like I say, it was basically a round trip. So we should have kind of a good idea of kind of flat week performance. Triple QY underperformed. So did really JEPI. Now JEPQ looked really good though. JEPQ looked great. JEPQ actually outperformed. SFOL looked good. Of course, in a week like this where the index is grind, you should have a lot of good performance, right? Okay. Well, that's just great, right? Let's see. I'm going to do it like this. Stop sharing. Back to my StreamYard studio. Back to this. Okay. So let's do this countdown. And then after that, let's look at some charts and talk about next week and see what's going on. All right. Number 5 in the index category, SFOL. That's really good. Look at that. Tripled the performance of its underline, which to be fair, SFOL doesn't really have an underline. I just used the SPY. It actually does have an underline, but it's that's a complicated subject too. Just to keep it simple, I compare stuff that's kind of complicated, just compare with the SPY. And that way we have a good idea how most things do against the SPY. Or some things like FEPI, it's more fair to compare it against the NASDAQ. All right, number 4 on the list, QDTE. And look at this. They almost doubled the performance of the parent asset. And I'm sometimes kind of down on this one, but great week, guys, over at, what is that, Round Hill? Round Hill, yeah. Great job, guys. Thank you every week, too. All right, number 3, Triple QI. They almost doubled the parent's performance. and made 171 basis points themselves, which is awesome. TLTW catching some freaking upside there, 2.14%. It's nice, and outperforming the benchmark, which is TLT. Great week. All right, YMAG, 2.87. So it's triple. It's a little less than triple the underlying. I mean, that's still very impressive. Once again, that's not YMAG's true underlying, but it's close enough. It's the NASDAQ. It's tripling the NASDAQ. That's pretty darn good. That is pretty darn good. All right. Now in the single category, Apple had a hell of a week, up 5%. Apple was up 7%. Great week. Great week, Apple. Fourth place is AMZ. Nice week by AMZ. Outperforming the parent asset on the side by about 25-30%, something like that, or more, about 30%. TSLY, nice week, guys. Added 5 points of upside. They could use it too. They could darn sure use it. We need about 10 more weeks like that in a row. AAPY, with the guys over at Curve. Nice job. Caught about 85% of the parent asset side. Apple had earnings. Apple was also on the list, but the guys over at Curve appear to have caught more upside, which doesn't surprise me. Monthly strategies catch more upside. Weeklies and dailies provide more buffers, so they do better in down weeks. They'll provide more cushion or buffer. All right, first place, TSLP. Wow, look at that. The guys over at Curve. Nice, congratulations, guys. That's awesome. And look at that. They're catching about 95% of that sweet Tesla upside. Well, that's something else, isn't it? Good job. All right, trends of the week. Crypto bad. Tesla, Apple, good. It's like some of the old world stocks are coming back. Google, earnings. That's what it was all about. Next week, we have more. Next week, I think it's going to be a wild week for ULTY. I know this video is not about ULTY, but a bunch of stocks that have been in ULTY or maybe will be in the future are having earnings this week. Of the big stocks, though, I noticed that Disney has earnings this week, so that will affect Dizzo, of course. Let's look at some charts and see what we have coming up for the week ahead. Let's do a little trading view, and we'll just show this chart. Okay. Well, I'm going to start from the top. We'll get back to Google, though. That's an interesting chart for sure. So these are daily bars. Usually we look at 30 minutes, but on the weekends we have dailies and weeklies to get a broader perspective. Okay, well that looks really good. Obviously that looks really good, NASDAQ. I mean, that's great. I mean, that there is always the possibility that this right here, this level 18,000 is where it broke down, and maybe it just came back up to test it. And if it can't get back over 18,000, there's always the possibility it goes back the other way. We'll see. We shall see. It looks, kind of the same situation for SPX. It looks like 5150, the Van Halen song is that their key number to get over for next week and kind of stay over and establish business, do business on the other side of 5150. We'll just call it 18,000 for NDX. Those are kind of the key levels I'm looking at. All right, so Russell already kind of being the strongest, being always the strongest or the weakest. What I always say, it's already popped back into the range that it fell out of. And in fact, it closed in that range. So back in the higher range. So if Russell's a precursor for the other ones, maybe we have a nice week ahead next week. All right, here's NASDAQ cash. That's going to look about the same, but you can just see the profit boxes on cash. Okay, here's 10-year. Now this is interest rates. And you can see as interest rates peaked, when they peak, April 25th, and then since then they've been going down. But that's also about the same time frame the market has turned around and gone up, which is nice. Okay, let's look at this Bitcoin daily chart. Now that's a good looking chart. It looks similar to this, or wait, I think Bitcoin is. Everyone says it's Bitcoin's the market. Now look at Bitcoin and NASDAQ. Look how NASDAQ cash. I mean, to me, very similar. Okay, in any event, same thing with Bitcoin, or Bitcoin kind of has a key level. They're kind of 64,000, or they're kind of over, but that's kind of the level I would want to see them stay above, to start a rally into the next week, and not to turn around and go back the other way. We shall see. I have no idea what it's going to do. All right, dollar. Some people use dollar like VIX. When it's going up, it's bad for the market, or like interest rates when it's going up. Anyway, so it's coming down also, of course. It's been coming down about the same time frame the market's turned around and gone up. All right, let's look at old FEPI. FEPI's a great stock. Look at this thing. FEPI's incredible. FEPI's kind of like key number to get reestablished over. Not like you would want to trade these on key numbers or anything. These don't really trade on technicals. But anyway, 53 is kind of the number they fell out of that they're going to try to recover. All right, let's look at gold. All right, gold coming down as the market's going up. Let's look at Google. We were on Google. Now Google's obviously an earnings stock. I want to get a little bit perspective on Google. Google's just kind of been looking great. Trying to get a weekly chart here. Yeah, boy, look at that. Look at that on the weekly chart. The weekly chart, gave a buy signal March of 2023, and it hasn't given a sell signal yet. And that was around, it was around 110 or something. In any event, that's a long-term chart, and long-term, nice trend for Google. All right, let's look at crude oil. Okay, crude oil. I guess 82 was a key level I was looking at on that. Oh, that's a weekly chart too. I kind of like these weekly charts. I'm leaving it on weekly for the rest of the report. Or no, actually, I'm going to go back to daily, and we're going to look at some of the yield max stocks. Then I'll let you guys go. I know your time's valuable. It's Sunday. Hopefully you guys go spend time with your family. I'm getting ready to take this dog for a WALK. Let's see what else we can look at real quick now. All right, VIX is the volatility index. Of course, lower is better, so that's good right there. All right, so here is Coinbase. The boxes on the chart are where the Coinbase strike prices were for last week. I haven't updated this week's strike prices. Here is Tesla. What's a chart of Tesla? Well, that looks just like Google's chart. I think they had earnings the day after or something. But yeah, so that one's impressive too. And I do have some strikes on there into next week. But I'll finish getting the rest of those. Then I have a nightly report, and I'll show where all the strikes are for all the yield max fund, or for all the Defiance funds and a few of the yield max funds. Here's a chart of AMD. I really don't follow AMDY, but that one's kind of going the other way. Let's see what about NVIDIA. NVIDIA looks stronger than AMD. If you're doing a pairs trade, if you look at AMD, it's, and you look at NVIDIA. Like a month ago, you would have wanted to been, it appears, short AMD, long NVIDIA. NVIDIA is holding up better. That doesn't mean that'll happen, and the same relationship will happen in the next month. probably won't happen in the next month. So here's Misty and Mister. I haven't talked about it much. Boy, that is just a hellacious run Mister's been on. And of course, we only have 2 days worth of charts, but that the inverse Tesla fund, you know, is down a little bit. That one's going to be really interesting to see how it does. I'm going to make some content on it. You know, in the future. I'm working on some right now. Yeah, ULTY is going to be interesting next week because they have a bunch of the ULTY types of stocks. I haven't been keeping up with exactly what they have in their portfolio. They switch it in and out so much. I haven't watched an update in a couple of days on ULTY, but I suspect they're going to have a big week this week. But anyway, I'm going to do some content on that as well. All right. Who do you guys think is going to be fund of the week next week? I'll do the same format next week. I'll try to keep it kind of short like this. I was trying to do like maybe 7, 8, 10 minutes, something like that. All right. Put it in the comments. If I got it wrong, put it in the comments. My algorithm to choose the best performing fund was I just ranked them by performance. By performance of the high yield ETF. I didn't really put any judgment into it. Some weeks I put judgment into it, but this week it was. I thought that was a pretty fair list. I would say the takeaways from this week are Curve came looking really good. The too long don't read. Quick review on that is the reason that is the way it is. Curve and a bunch of other companies use the monthly options. So a monthly covered call strategy is less efficient at gathering premium. So generally monthly strategies don't pay as much premium. However, at the same time, it's less efficient at gathering premium. It's also less efficient at creating buffer. Well, buffer's what hurts you on the upside, but helps you on the downside. Anyway, great week, guys. I mean, it's those are good funds. And I watched Coach the other day, and he had an interview with one of the guys from Curve on, and I like the guys from Curve and Defiance, and I like Sylvia and Jay. I think these guys that have these new funds that, you know, the high yield, I think they're all interesting. Let's just put it that way. So we'll see. All right, guys, we'll see how long they're around for. I'm making a video right now about the longevity of these high yield funds. So I think you guys will be interested in that video. But anyway, it's an interesting topic for sure. All right, guys, you guys have a good day. I'm going to take him on the WALK. See ya.